Welcome in and welcome back. We are here with another Ask Me Anything, and today's question comes from Jovan or Jovan. I'm not entirely sure. He says to me, "Hey, are you homosexual?" Well, Jovan, I don't think that's any of your goddamn business. But I did say anything. I did say, ask me anything. And I've been on 4 gay dates in my life. So, you're not the first person I've confused. The first gay date I went on, well, I gotta set the scene. So, I was in community college at the time, and I was really a real nice guy. Real nice, just a great guy. But I was taking classes that I had no idea what I was doing. One of them was a music class. I have never played a musical instrument. I could not name musical instruments. I can't read music. Hell, I barely know any bands because I'm a recluse. So I was really trying to broaden my horizons. And I was taking this class. And I was feeling sort of stale in my own life. You know, you do things the same way long enough, you start to feel stale. And here I was, probably 22, 23, something like that. And it was just getting to be too much and too little at the same time. I was getting that quarter life crisis kind of vibe going on, you know. And so I had my full-time job, and I had all these classes. And I started applying for other stuff, other jobs. And I got another job. And that was all right, because here I was working in a new place, and I kept my old job too. So I was working 7 days a week, 5 at the new job, 2 at the old job, and every once in a while I'd have another day spritzed in there from the old job as well. And then I got an opportunity to do a local motorsports show, which was a terrible idea considering I know nothing about motorsports. But hey, I didn't know anything about music either, and there I was in that class doing okay, doing all right. But, so we get broken off in that class into groups because we're going to have a presentation. And we are, I don't know, maybe 33% of the way through the semester. And we get broken up into these groups, and we all exchange numbers and everything, and we've got each other's emails and all this stuff. And honestly, at that time, I was still brand new to text messaging. Like it was a labor for me to receive or send a text message. That's how backwards I am. And so I'm in this group with this guy and a girl, and I think it was just there's 4 of us. I don't remember who the other person was. I have no recollection of the other person, but there were 4 of us. And we were supposed to analyze some type of music and each present on one thing or another. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was just so difficult for me. I've got terrible hearing, I guess. I can't differentiate between different sounds. I don't know what's going on. But it was all very difficult for me. The entire class, very difficult for me. The only thing I took from that class is I really enjoy the sound of an mbira, M-B-I-R-A. And if you YouTube Tinashe Mbira, there's a really neat song that comes up. And Tinashe was a guy who was a British artist, but ended up having to change his performance name. I don't know what he goes by now, but Tinashe got big. It was a female artist who got big before he got big. Anyway, here I was working 5 days a week one place, at least 2 days a week another place, and every once in a while, probably once a week, about once a week, once every 10 days, somewhere in there, I had to drive to some place in backwards Missouri to watch people do motor carts or dirt bikes or some type of car racing. It is all just, I don't know. I'd get there and I'd have to drive for 2 hours to some track, some place, and pick up some terminology while I was there to have something to talk about. I was the host of one of the hosts of the show, and it was just awful. It was awful. It was miserable. But I was doing it, and it was something. It was on local television, and really shitty story in and of itself. But here I was spending all that time going all those places and having a full-time job and a part-time job and 4 classes. Eventually, I just had to quit school. I just quit school. It got to a place where if you've ever been in the community college trap, you understand that basically the game they play is every other semester. They sort of change the requirements for graduation, so no one really knows what they are. But by the time you go to your advisor and say, hey, what do I have to take? They say, oh, well, you've got about 3 more semesters you've got to be here. And they change everything up, whatever. So I was mad, was tired of it. I'd wasted enough money on community college, and I decided, hey, it's time to earn some money. It's time to have some types of experiences with the motorsports thing and doing all that, whatever. So I texted everybody in the group, hey, sorry, not going to be able to present with you guys. I know we're about a week out, and that sucks, and I apologize, but I've got all these things that I'm doing. I just don't have the time for school. The only one who replied was this guy, and he was real nice guy. And he started talking to me, and we were talking, and all of a sudden he wanted to meet up, and he wanted to know how everything was going with the jobs and the motorsports thing. And, hey, I don't have any friends at this point, in my life. I'm 22, 23, all 5 years out of high school, whatever. And I'm not personable. I don't know if you can tell. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. We can meet up. What do you want to do? And I didn't realize by this time it's like 9 o'clock at night. So he says, there's a Starbucks down from my house. Do you live anywhere near this Starbucks? I was like, yeah, I know where that's at. Not terribly close to my apartment, but I know where it's at. So I show up, and I go in. I'm there before he is, and real nice guy. And I think they're closing soon. I didn't know if they closed at 9 or 10, whatever, but it's like 8:45. And I was like, I don't want to be sitting in here and be that guy, I know what it's like to have people in the store when you're trying to close. So I go and I take the outside table. And I see him roll up in his car. All right, there he is. Real nice guy. And he gets out of his car, and he's wearing the nicest slacks I've ever seen in my life. And these shoes that are just spiffy. The spiffiest shoes I've ever seen in my life. They're leather, and they got like partial zippers on the front. They got flames on the side. It's real nice looking shoes. And he's wearing this mesh shirt. Just a mesh shirt. It's a button-up mesh shirt. And it's a white fabric. And his hair's all lined up. I mean, just fresh as fresh can be. And he's got fresh lines in his eyebrows. Like, I mean, just as dolled up as I've ever seen a man in my life. I mean, just the spitting image of something you would see in a catalog. And I realized, oh, he's getting pretty for me. This is awkward, because I'm sitting there and I was a hot mess, and I started to think, look at me, I'm frumpy. Maybe I should have worn my nice jeans. Here I am in my mom jeans. This is embarrassing. I got holes in my shoes. And now I've got to find some way to talk myself out of this. What am I doing? What is this? He was real understanding, though. Real nice guy. Just a great guy all around. A couple years later, he ended up hooking me up with one of his friends. I mean, real nice guy. You know how it is. Second time I ever went on a gay date. Same community college. After the local motorsport thing didn't work out, didn't pan out, a lot of work, a lot of movement, a lot of 130 degrees on the tarmac days, and you're wearing, I mean, it was awful. The whole thing was awful. It's a story in and of itself. Just miserable. I ended up going back to community college. Lost one job, went back to the other, lost the motorsports thing. Well, let's go back to school. So I ended up taking an acting class. And the final of the acting class was to audition for a play that the professor had written. And I got it. And after the class, that was the final, right? So everyone's in there watching and critiquing everybody, all this stuff. I had made some friends that semester. I was real friendly with those people. Got over, I'm a little bit of a quirky personality, and I guess that's the crowd with which that is preferable, right? People who are in performance arts, they don't want humdrum individuals. So one of the guys that I had been friends with the entire time, he was like, hey, you want to hang out after class? I was like, yeah, that's cool. Everybody was sort of parceling off and going different directions or whatever. So I was like, what do you want to do? He was like, I'll just drive around. So we're in his car and we're driving around, and there I am in the passenger seat, just talking about all sorts of stuff. And I guess he was, I'm not a very feelings person, he was more of a feelings person than I was. So we're driving around, and he's talking about his friends and all this and all that, and I don't know what to say. He's opening up to me. I got no friends really. I don't really have many emotions. Any of that stuff. I sort of stay away from that sort of stuff, that sort of thing. So I keep to myself. And he starts talking about how he's really sort of the rock of his friend group. They all sort of gravitate to him, so it's hard on him because he's the one in whom everyone confides. It's like, oh yeah, I understand that. That's cool. Yeah, it's gotta be difficult. Especially, probably be easier for me because I don't have all the feelings, but someone who's in tune with things, probably a lot harder. So he ends up coming out to me. And, it was one of those situations where I sort of figured, didn't want to say anything. So you got to act surprised in that moment. Oh, really? Hey, good for you. I don't know what do you say in that situation? What do you say in that situation? You don't know the guy. Don't really know the guy. He's coming out to you, but you got to be supportive. And hey, more power to you. So it comes out to me, and I'm trying to be supportive. A little bit of an awkward silence, and I can tell he's really just trying not to drive anymore. So he pulls into this Starbucks, and we're in it's like 11, 12 o'clock at night. So it's just an empty parking lot at this point. And he's talking. He looks at me and he says, so, is there anything you want to tell me? You got a really nice car. Is that what do you mean? I don't know any of this is going on. I'm completely oblivious to it. Have no idea what's happening. And he's like, oh yeah, it's I don't remember what it was. It was a 98 Camaro something. His father bought it for him. I don't remember. Something like that. It's a real nice car. A little bit awkward silence. Anything else? Well, I did pretty good in all my classes this semester. Real stoked I got that part. What do you mean? I had no idea until weeks later. It was one of those epiphanies that hits you when it hits you, and then you're like, oh my God, I don't remember what I was doing even. I think I was driving to work. And I realized Oh, that was a gay date. Like he completely expected me to come out to him, and then we would, I don't know, be a couple. I don't know what happens, but yeah, no, that was number two. That was the second gay date I ever went on. The third gay date I ever went on. I was in grad school. I went through my entire, so I got my associate's degree, went through all of my bachelor's degree, and managed to never accidentally date a man the whole time. Didn't date any men to which I am privy. Apparently, these things hit me later. So maybe I will remember some story at some point that, yeah, yeah, oh, I get it now. That was a date. Anyway, get my entire bachelor's degree. No dating men. Move out to St. Louis. Get my master's degree. And I've said on this channel a couple times, over on Strip Cover Lit, I've said a whole lot. When I was in my master's program, I was an absolute monk. I didn't do anything. I didn't talk to anyone. I woke up at 8 or 9, got to the library by 9 or 10, stayed at the library until normally somewhere between 2 and 6. So on the days where I left at 2, I ended up going to a coffee shop where it was a local coffee shop called Picasso's, if you've ever been to St. Charles, Missouri. I would go in there, and that would be where I would revise whatever it was that I wrote at the library, or I would write something new or something like that. Or if I left at 6, if I stayed all through the day, I would go straight to the gym. If I went to Picasso's, I would leave Picasso's at 6, 6:37, go to the gym. A lot of the time after the gym. So you're talking between 7, 8 at night. I would go to the local Starbucks in order to type everything up. A lot of the stuff I was writing, I would type it right there that day. Or, if I was working just hardcore on a story or a poem or whatever it was, that's where I would try to finish it. I was really, really locked in on the process. And then, they closed at 10, I'd go home, and if I wasn't typing things up, I would type it up then. Or if I had already typed everything, I'd be making submissions until 2 or 3 in the morning. Then in my master's program, we had class 1 day a week. So 1 day a week, that whole process was sort of belly up, So one day, like I said, I lived like a monk. Didn't talk to anybody, anything, really. My bachelor's days, I was going out and getting drunk, and I was going out and carousing and all that sort of stuff. So I really nailed it down. And one night I'm at the Starbucks, and I'm typing things up, right? I'm really into it. So I'm all hunched over, and I'm really getting into it, whatever. And you get a tap on the shoulder. There's a guy standing there, and he says, "Hey, I gotta go to the restroom real quick. Would you mind watching my stuff?" Happens all the time if you've been in libraries or Starbucks, whatever. So hey, no problem. So I'm going to town, keeping an eye on his stuff, going to town, keeping an eye on his stuff. So he comes back, he says, "Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, well, I'm out here in the master's program trying to get a story typed up, whatever." "Oh, yeah, well, what's your story about?" So I sort of tell him what the story is about. I don't remember what story it was I was working on. I think it was there. So I think it was the one about, I've got a story about 2 lovers who sort of spawn together. They respawn all the time. So one will die and the other has to live out that life or expire in some way. And the moment the other one dies, the both are reborn. So I think it was that story, maybe. I don't remember, but that was one I really had to focus on, right? So I was like, you get yourself in that place, and you're trying to see, where's the ironic twist in everything. And speaking of ironies, so you're trying to figure something like that out. You're trying to bring up the rules of that universe. What are the rules of this universe? How does that really go? What happens there? Do they respawn as children, or they respawn as full adults, and they somewhere close in proximity, so they meet, or they, like I said, respawn as children, so they have to live their lives to a certain point before meeting each other. But they know when they meet each other, And how does that mechanism work, where they meet each other and they automatically know? So I'm trying to do this all in 5,000-ish words. It's a very difficult process. So he's talking to me about it, and he's like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. So I'm trying, like, yeah, well, anytime you're a writer, you got to play your stuff down. You got to tamp down the expectations. You really got to tamp down the braggadocio. Otherwise, you just look like an asshole. So I'm tamping that down, like, I was probably not very good, So he's like, well, let me read a paragraph or two. It's like, I don't really let people. Yeah, but all right, that's fine. I'll let you read it. So he's reading away, and he starts, yeah, that's really good. I really like how you use these words here and all this stuff. And Starbucks is closing. And he's like, I've always wanted to be a writer, man. You think we could head back to my place and tell me like a little bit more about your program? I understand, Lindenwood has got a program and everything. I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going. So I was like, yeah, we'll go back there. I had no problem. I'm an adult. You know what I mean? No problem with it. Meeting strange men at Starbucks, whatever. So we go back to his place somewhere. I'm following him, trailing him. Somewhere on the drive, and, he was sort of a lighthearted guy. Somewhere on the drive between Starbucks and his place, I don't know if this man popped Molly. I don't know if this man was taking just ecstasy. I don't know what happened. But we get back to his place, and his pupils are massive. I don't know if this is acid. I don't do those types of drugs. I have no idea. I've never been around them, really. I have no idea. So he's sweating a little bit, but it's the middle of the summer, Maybe that's just how he is. I'm kind of sweaty at this point. It's still like 100 degrees outside. Trying not to think too much into it. Trying not to weird myself out. I'm trying to say, what's going on here? What's going on here? Keep aware. So we go in, and I'm telling him about, hey, this is the program, it's broken up into quarters, got class once a week, this sort of thing, that sort of thing. He's like, oh, hey, I'll be right back. So he gets out and he goes into his kitchen. And I hear the water, and I hear the refrigerator open, and then I got nothing, like a spoon going around a glass. He pops his head back in. Hey, you want something to drink? No, I'm okay. Oh, all right. Hey, I got bees. I'm sorry? Bees. I do beekeeping. I've got all this honey. All sorts of... You want some honey? I don't think so. I think I'm set. I got all that Starbucks coffee in me. I think I'm set, pal. Thanks. Whatever he did, whatever he consumed, whatever it was that he drank in his kitchen, sent him off the rails. He was looking at me with the Google eyes and breathing real heavy. And by this time, the sweat's really pouring down. And I'm like, wow. Like, I'm not a little guy, So no, if he's trying something here, it's going to be a struggle. Like, I'm just big, like, I'm not huge. I'm just big enough to make you think about it, So, I'm starting to try to position myself to get out of this situation. Like, what is going on here? So I'm like, hey, man, I got to be at the library in the morning. I'll see you. She's like, oh, yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. You are beautiful. Yeah, the library opens at 8. Normally I'm there by like 9. So I was gonna, do you wear cologne? Yeah, man, I'm gonna go. Is it okay if we hug first? This man gropes me for a good 15 minutes. for a good 50, wafting me in, hands on my ass. And I'm finally like, yeah, it's been real. It's been fun. It ain't been real fun. I got a jet, man. So I worked my way out of that situation. But yeah, that's the only time it was weird, you know, was that one there. That was that situation. Like I feel like that guy, if I was not me, if I was a little more meek, just a little more meek. I was pretty meek in that situation, completely confused. Or if I was a bit of a smaller individual, I might have been in some trouble, you know. The fourth, the fourth gay date I went on. Well, that's for me. That's for me. Okay. Next question comes to us from David. He says, "Do you own a library card?" I do. But about 5 years ago, whenever I first moved back to Kansas City, I accidentally never took my books back. So I've got all these books, and they're not mine, and I can't go back to that library because I don't know how much they cost. So I have been without a functional library card. I've still got one. I just can't use it. I've been without a functional library card for the better part, well, a half a decade. Um, but with all this lockdown and stuff going on, I don't really want to buy books. I'm not going to the bookstore, you know. So I'm talking to a guy that has a library card for all the libraries in the area, just a different one for each of the libraries. And he's going to let me borrow his. I just got to meet him up at the Starbucks to figure out when he wants to let me use it.